Welcome back, everybody, to this short edition of the Filmmakers Roundtable, the podcast dedicated to films, filmmaking, and gaining insight from filmmakers working in the industry. I'm Thomas.
I'm Dylan.
And as I said, this is going to be a shorter version because by the time you're watching this, because we pre-record these on Friday. I was at a freelance gig, and I wasn't able to make it for our normal recording session. So we're recording this.
So that's why it looks like I haven't changed.
Yeah, me too. So,
though granted, in a lot of the episodes I've been wearing this shirt.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, that's why. So we're going to record this. This is going to be about, hopefully, just a 30-minute segment.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Dark Force. A Star Wars fan film series that I did starting back in high school. We're going to talk about where it came from and why it stopped suddenly. So
think of this as an add-on to last week's episode of failures in filmmaking.
Exactly. So let me actually pull up the channel here.
I'll say this: despite the fact that it never came to fruition, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
like how you said you had a fun time working on Paper Lady, even though that went down the tubes the way it did. I still had fun.
Oh yeah,
it was fun filming at night.
Yeah,
outside of the heat, the mosquitoes.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So
yeah.
So let me pull up the playlist here. The reason, why did Dark Force not go through to fruition? Or let's start with where it started. I did a documentary about this for the DVD.
Like any good story, start at the beginning.
Yeah, so it all started with around sophomore year, me, Ryan, and Riley Gilbert. We were talking about we always wanted to do some kind of lightsaber fight, and Riley had talked about wanting to do it too. And Ryan really wanted to do it, so we were just kind of brainstorming ideas. And so I kind of took it a step further. This is while I was working on Nothing Personal and Passion Never Stops. So junior year, the whole Nothing Personal thing goes down, whatever. And everything doesn't. So when that doesn't go through the fruition, and after I made Passion Never Stops, I started to work on Dark Force Episode 4. And the reason I called it Episode 4 is to harken back to what Star Wars did, paying homage to the
film serials.
Yeah, in the 1940s. So you'd only see a few episodes. You'd see Episode 4, whatever, and everything. And so the reason, I decided. So I took it a bit step for, and we were originally just gonna do it as just a lightsaber fight that you find on YouTube, like Ryan Weber, everything like that. Which I love those videos. Like Ryan Weber is just awesome. Sorry, this talking for 2 hours straight does a lot to you.
Yes, it does. Well, what do you mean? We just started recording today.
You're right.
You're breaking the illusion.
I know, but anyway, we made that. And we'd also decided that we were going to submit it to the International School Broadcasting Association?
Yes.
Indiana
State
Broadcasting Association.
Yep.
So, or Indiana Student Broadcast? One of those two.
The IBA.
Yeah. ISBA. So, and it was a little award competition at UIndy. It was being held there, and so we submitted it there. Didn't win anything, sadly, but it is what it is. Although I did get some feedback notes from it. It's like shorten the intro, super special effects, things like that. I don't know if I still have those. I'll have to look for them. But we made that and released it on YouTube, and then I'm just like, wow, there was a lot of things there. Because, when I uploaded to YouTube, I just ripped it from the DVD that I had made.
Yeah.
And it wasn't HD, so, anyway. And then there was errors and everything, so that's when we decided to make the special edition. So we decided to, tighten up the editing, patch up the, some of the audio holes, fix the spelling errors and everything, release it in HD. And I think that was the version we sent to the ISBA. So... And again, it didn't win anything. So, I did that, and then I got back to work on Episode 3. So, which episode 3 kind of came about. I'd always wanted to do like an Obi-Wan versus Anakin type of lightsaber fight. You know, that student versus teacher thing. So, so that's what I did here, and I casted. Or actually, let me go back to episode 4 for a sec. So Riley Gilbert, obviously, he's the main character. Mace Coda. So, and then he was just kind of already down on Naboo, and Ormond Kyron. That name has always kind of been in my head for a long time. I was like looking up like unique names, and I found Ormond and I found Kyron. And I was just like, okay, yeah, that works. So I combined them together. And when I first used him, he was in a zombie movie and he was Dr. Ormond Kyron. So, and he was the creator of the zombie apocalypse.
That sounds like a villain out of the House of the Dead video game series.
Probably. So, but anyway, so then I was like, that kind of belongs to Star Wars. So I put him here as General Ormond Kyron. So, and he will continue to be in whatever else I do. So with Star Wars related. So, and then Mace Coda. I'm not good with names if you can't already tell. So,
Neither am I.
Yeah. So, and then
I feel like every time I have to go back to John or Jeremy, I'm like, I am so creatively bankrupt.
Yeah, and then Kiru Aiden. That was a name from another thing I was working on. Played by Preston Ankney. He was actually the last character, and his fight scene was the last thing to be added. So because originally he just kind of showed up, Ormond kind of scolds him, and then he sends him on his way, and then it was originally just supposed to cut to Mace and Raven fighting, which that dialogue was added like the day before we shot that. So, and I'll get into that. And so we shot that, and then we added the fight scenes, which I'll talk about. And so yeah, so I forgot where I was going with that. Okay, but anyway, so and Raven, Jake Goldfarb, the great Jake Goldfarb played him. So he was actually Raven was originally going to be played by one of Riley's friends, and the two had choreographed a lightsaber fight, but he couldn't make it to the shoot. So I asked Goldfarb if he wanted to do it. And he was just like, yes. So,
you mean a laser sword fight? Yes.
Yeah, and so we got there. So we shot it at the Franklin Parks and Recreation Center in their dining hall, or Benson Hall, I think that's what it's called. So, and it was a lot of fun to shoot. It was Veterans Day 2014. That's when we shot it. So that was a lot of fun. Goldfarb and Riley, they did great. They were great to work with. They played off each other great. We came up with the fight pretty much on the spot. So, but they did a great job for that. So that was probably one of the most fun I've had shooting anything in quite a while. So, hopefully we can do more of that stuff soon. So, but So after that we shot the well, there's kind of like a whole other story. Like the first thing we shot was the hangar stuff with the green screen stuff. So, and there's like a whole day dedicated to that. I don't really know if that's because of our time we have. So, and now I was having like anxiety the whole day because I had left my camera at home. Yeah, I had all my other gear. I had lights, I had stands, microphones, my backpack. I was just like, I left my microphone at home. Or my camera at home. So the whole day I was having a panic attack. I was having, stomach problems and everything. Finally after like coach, I finally was able to calm down. I called my grandfather, and I told him to bring my camera. It was on my desk. So he brought it. I picked it up during lunch, and I was just like, okay, we're good, we're safe. So yeah. So anyway, so we shot that, but we did not budget the time properly. So we didn't. It took way too long to put the costumes on, like those flaps and everything. So yeah, it was so, but we didn't get enough of what we wanted to shoot done. So yeah, whoops, that's all right. Oh, good. So anyway, so then the Preston's fight scene. So and then we casted Goldfarb again as that bounty hunter. Although I wish he was like a commando or something. I mean, I guess he could be both, but because he has a lightsaber.
He's Goldfarb.
Yeah. So it did that, but I hate the room that it was in, that we shot it in. We shot it in the art room of the rec center, because that was the only room they had available. If I was smarter, I probably would have pushed it back and we could have gotten another room that probably would have worked a little bit better. So...
What room did you want to get?
I can't remember. Maybe like their athletic room or something? At least something... I mean, we made do with what we had, but still... I mean, the Benson Hall worked enough, so for what it was for that location, but it's like Star Wars, like I don't know. But I mean, the fight scene did great. I mean, Farb and Preston, they did a great job. They're just great. They're great to work with. You know, they take direction very well, and I was really kind of really still banking on if I could be direct now. Even still, like with what I'm going to find out with Awaken, see if I'm capable to direct a movie. So, but so we released it, and actually we showed it to the class, my junior class. Kevin Hankins had his big, huge speakers and everything hooked up to the TV in the studio. So, and they played. It was just like, wow, the sound was just booming. So.
Boom.
It ended, big applause and everything. So
nice.
Yeah. So and then we made the special edition. I explained that. So let's move on to episode 3. So like I said, I always wanted to do Obi-Wan versus Anakin fight, and so that kind of started with I casted Jack Davidson as Danon. So, Orman's fallen apprentice. So and this is the part where, Orman was kind of the main character, even though at the time I didn't really want to be the main character. So, but it's like, well, okay. It is what it is. So, I did that. I'm trying to think what to say. So, we the fight scene, we rehearsed many times. Jack, love him to death. He's not the greatest actor, but he's great to work with. You can count on him. He shows up. He's a man of his word. So and everything. So awesome guy. So and he was great to work with in episode 4. So or episode 1. Sorry. So yeah. Although I feel like I didn't give him enough direction. He asked me well, what's his character, and I didn't really have an answer, or maybe I just didn't give it to him. I can remember this is a long time ago, but still, it is what it is. So we shot the fight. We shot some of the fight after school. We shot some of it during school. We shot some of it. We shot all the outside bits during spring break. In the end, so both the Dark Force films were projects for school, or I turned them in as projects. But I did not turn in episode 3. It was never finished, and I think from people who've seen the film online, it's actually. Hang on, let me look at this.
I remember filming pickup shots for that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It has. As of right now, 1,618 views. So I was just like, oh, and it's just there's just so many things it just doesn't work. So, and that sort of leads into the special edition, which I'll touch on, or the revisited edition of episode 3. So I was like, okay, I really wanted to finish this. So. And it took a couple years to do that because, I was going between projects and everything. So I was like, okay, 2017, late 2017, okay, I'm gonna do this. So there were shots we didn't get, shots we didn't do. So I was like, okay, there's new angles I wanted to get. So Dylan and I, we actually shot some pickup shots. Mm-hmm. So we kind of had to, I put on the same costume, the same glasses, had the similar hair, beard. So we kind of, matched it so we could match it all together. And it worked for the most part. I was like, okay, you can't really tell. And Dylan was in a black shirt. We used like close-ups of him to kind of match that it was Jack because he couldn't make it to the shoot. So we did that. Everything, it worked well, but I had a deadline. It was December 31st. But then I found myself working on it for 18 hours straight, sitting in my office I did this for 3 days straight. I was working on it, doing all these effects. I'm just like, I can't do this. So, and then is it raining?
Yes, it is raining, in fact.
Huh.
They say it's supposed to be raining this whole weekend.
Oh, wonderful. So anyway, and then we also shot another scene that we didn't shoot originally with your brother. It was with Lord Mage. He's the kind of the Dark Lord of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the string puller, the puppet master, and everything. So, and we also met Dr. Alcrum, who was originally going to be played by somebody else, but then he ended up being played by your brother Bryce.
Yep.
So we shot.
And he did a good job.
Yeah, he did a good job. Okay, my throat is burning right now.
Don't worry, you only got 10 minutes left.
Yeah, roughly. So we did that. But then I was like, the effects were just awful. Like the green screening. This is like, because we don't have much green screen room here. I'm just like, oh.
Like,
so I'm just like,
for those who are watching the video, right behind Tom is the amount of space that we have to set up the green screen.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I can't release this. So. I thought about it, and I still might do this. I might, release it in, just unfinished, hey, this is not finished. So, but just to get it out there, because I put so much work into it. But in the end, I didn't do it. So, I might still do something with it. We'll see. So yeah, that's the thing. So to talk about the further Dark Force films, I originally was wanting to do episode 5 after episode 3, and I actually wrote the first draft of it while I was doing the pre-production for episode 3. So, but the problem was, with episode 5, the first couple of drafts were, and it was the longest script I'd ever written. It was 53 pages. So, or 52, 53 pages. And I realized there is no way I'm going to be able to do this. It's way too big. There was no way I was going to be able to do it with the money. I didn't have the money or the time or the skills to do that. So the next one I did. So, and the second problem with it was Inglourious Bastards. Literally, I had just seen Inglourious Bastards, and that's literally all episode 5 was. The first couple of drafts, it was Inglourious Bastards. One of the characters' names was even named Shoshana, which I later changed to Ayla, who's Mace's sister. So, yeah. So it was a disaster. So Ormond was Aldo. There was another guy who was basically the Bear Jew, and then yeah. So that's why I didn't do it. So, and basically it was about Ormond trying to get back Mace and Kiru, who had been captured, and they're in a death camp now. Originally, both Mace and Kiru, Riley and Preston were going to die. They would both be killed. But then I just thought, okay, that's when Mace was. Then I changed it to Mace was going to get killed off, and then Kiru would get horribly brutalized and mutilated. His leg would get blown off, his arm would get chopped off, and everything. And he would sort of become Darth Malgus and everything. He would have this breathing apparatus around his mouth and nose. He'd have a little control thing like Darth Vader. So, and I actually did a Photoshop image. I'll put it up for those watching on the YouTube channel. Oh God, sorry. So yeah, I did write another version, which it's pretty much the same, but with less Inglourious Bastards reference. So, So then, but then I realized I wasn't going to be able to do that. So then I went back and did I decided I was going to do the episode 1 and 2. Now, episode 1, it started out. I wrote that in about 2015. And it basically started with Ormond, Dannon, and Ormond's Jedi Master Reed. So, and then they were gonna land, and then it dealt with like political, a little bit political stuff. There was these like characters and everything, other characters that didn't make the other versions, and then they would discover like this is like the rise of the Federation army. So, and then they would realize, oh shit, there's like a big ship, coming to attack them, attack the town of Tanab, the city on Tanab, and then so they call the Republic. Mace shows up with a squadron. Then there's this big battle. Dannon fights in a starfighter. Mace is in the starfighter and everything. Ormond and Reed get shot down. Reed gets killed. Reed fights Darth Theron, your character, and they fight and everything. Dannon destroys the Star Destroyer and everything. So they all land, and then I think that's as far as I got. That's version. But then I realized I have to focus on Dannon's transformation into the dark side with this film. So I scrapped that version, and then I had to completely rewrite it, and I had to cut Reed out. So Reed's already dead.
For Reed.
Yeah. So then so then the next version.
That'll make sense hearing this there.
Yeah. Then the next version was pretty much the same for the next few drafts. It started with oh man, it's been so long. Dannon, okay, now I remember. Mace, Ormond, and Kiru. they're on like a transport. They're on a planet, and they're being attacked by said Star Destroyer. So then they get into escape pods, and they go down to the planet, and then it turns out Dannon's on there. He's about to be executed by the Federation soldiers, but then Ormond comes in, saves the day, and then they meet back up with Mace and Kiru, and then they have a big chase, TIE fighters and everything, and so then they get to the base. That's where they have to go. They have to get to a base that's being held hostage, a Republic base. And then they get on the planet. Then they get to that base, and then that's where they meet Derek Calvin, or Wedge. That's who he later becomes. And then they come together. And then they realize that they're in big situations. And then Raven and Theron. Oh, that's another thing. Raven, Farb's character, was not in the first draft of episode 1. But then I realized, okay, he kind of has to be give him a little bit more relevance to his character. So, but anywho. So I'm trying to crunch my time here. So anyway, there's a big battle. Ormond and Dannon fight Theron on the ship and everything. So yeah. So and then Dannon kills Theron, and this big hate-filled moment. Then they get off the ship. They destroy it, and then Ormond they get down. They celebrate. Ormond kind of looks at Dan like, "You okay?" And Dan's like, "No." And then they leave, and then it cuts to Mace and Kiru kind of talking, and then Ormond's like, "Hey, where's Dannon?" And he can't find him, and it cuts to Dannon walking outside of the temple in his cloak, and he has that Sith eye, and then it irises out. Didn't like that version. So then after The Force Awakens came out, I changed it to the third draft, which I think the third draft. Third draft is, in my opinion, the best one that came out that I wrote, version of episode 1. And it was essentially the same, only instead of the lightsaber battle on the ship, it takes place in the woods, which we'll get to. So, and then, Dannon would would defeat Theron, and then actually lower him into a fiery abyss. So, yeah, so the burning ablaze and everything. So yeah, that's one thing I would have done. So anyway, So, and the space battle's still the same, and I added two other pilots, Derek, Wedge, and Argon Kelvin, who are going to be played by Matt, Ryan, and Seth Long. So, but that's not going to happen now. But, so I really like that version. Unfortunately, due to Riley's schedule, we talked about this on my YouTube channel. We did a commentary. Riley's schedule just wasn't going to work. He worked overtime and more. So we realized, okay, that's not going to happen. So I had to write him out, and I had to write Preston out because I couldn't really justify him being there. So I wrote them all out. Then I just focused on Ormond and Dannon, and it would have worked, but then Jack dropped the bomb on me that he couldn't do it anymore either. So I was just like, oh. So I had to drop that version. I thought about what I was going to do. So then I decided, okay, well, I can do another version. I did write another version, and basically the pilots were the main characters, and Ormond he still had a big part in it. You know, like he has Theron, and then Raven's still in it. I did like that version. The problem was the last half of it, the finale, was way too complicated. You know, because there was 4 battles going on. There was a space battle, an aerial battle, a ground battle, and a lightsaber battle. Even though I think it was paced relatively well, like it starts out, they come in through hyperspace, they fight, then they go down to the planet. They have that fight for a little bit. Then they land up. The ground forces land. Then it cuts to the space battle. Cuts back to the aerial battle. For quite a while. Then the lightsaber fight starts. Then it cuts back to the aerial battle. Back to the ground battle. Back to the space battle. Air. Space, ground, and then the big finale. So I think it was relatively well paced out with how I had it in my head, but it was like there was no way I'm going to be able to do this. So type of stuff. So I scrapped that. Came up with another version, but it's like I put in too much work into this, not enough results. So yeah, so I was like, it never happened. So that's why I stopped doing it. But I want to touch on episode 2, because I've never talked about episode 2, just because we have a few minutes left. Episode 2 would have been about Ormond, kind of coming to terms with Dannon's turn to the dark side. And it would started with Dannon attacking a Jedi temple on another planet. Big bloodshed, a lot of bloodshed happens. And Ormond kind of shows up. He gets shot down by Dannon in his ship. He survives, but his arm's broken. He climbs up a mountain to get like a distress signal out. But then Dannon's there waiting for him. And then they kind of stare off at each other. And then Ormond tries to beg him to come back. But then Dannon's like, no, and he resists and everything. But then Ormond's like, well, I guess you know what you have to do. So Ormond sits down on a rock and throws his lightsaber away and just accepts that he's going to kill him. And he'd rather have it be him than someone else. So, but then Dannon's like, can't do it. So he takes Ormond's saber, and then his reinforcements are coming. Other Federation forces are coming. And so he looks there, and he's like,
oh no, the kitty wants to get in. Oh. Poor kitty, come in. Come on, kitty. You come in, but you gotta be quiet. Okay. Alright, I know what you want to do. Let's get you on the couch. Well, not the couch, the rug. Oh, okay, never mind. Oh, thank you, kitty. He just dried himself on my... He's alright as long as he doesn't do anything too bad. Alright, continue, my man.
Okay. So, enjoy the kitty while we're here. So.
Hey, it's going to get us up in views. People like cat videos.
True. Okay. So anyway, Dark Force was going to be about episode. So Ganon reaches out for Ormond, gives him his saber, and then the two fight together one last time. So, and then at the end, a transport comes and picks up Ormond. Then they kind of look at each other like, first they say, if I see you again, I'll do what I must. So, which is kind of a precursor to the next film. The reason I did that was because it didn't make sense for them to fight, which is what they were originally going to do, but it's like, well, we both know they're not going to die. We both know what happens in the third one.
Yeah.
So, they go off, and then they kind of just get ready for what's to come. Then it leads to the fleet going to Corellia, which leads into the next film. So, yeah, that was basically it. So I decided not to do it anymore because, again, too much work, not enough results. So, yeah, I'm disappointed, but it won't be the last thing I do Star Wars-wise. So, but yeah. So I guess we're at about 31 minutes. So I guess we'll wrap it up here. So thanks for listening to this short segment of the Filmmakers Roundtable. And we will see you next time with a full episode. Bye-bye.
Keep filmmaking.
Thanks for watching this week's episode, guys. Make sure to follow us on SoundCloud and iTunes, as well as our Facebook and Twitter pages. Don't forget to subscribe to the Roundtable, as well as our personal YouTube channels, all the links of which will be provided in the description. Thanks, guys, and we will see you on the next episode of the Filmmakers Roundtable.